And so I just started saying sexy after kids, right? And the whole premise initially was to lose weight. What I discovered over time is that it's a mental thing. It's doing the inner work for the outer experience. It's having mom life balance. Now it's time for me. Now it's time for me to take a break real quick, hang out with my girls, have a glass of wine, release the advice you get from your friends, the things y'all talk about, the commonalities that we just face as women, as mothers, as working women, as people. All those things play a part. And so creating space for yourself to let go just for a moment and then come back to the table like, okay, I could do this now, right? I talk to my girls and they're going through the same thing. And so it's not a misery loves company, but I have a community who understands me and what I'm going through. All right, y'all. So welcome to the first episode of You're Gonna Need a Drink for This. It is a Sexy After Kids Momcast. I am your host, Apple Daniels, and with me today, I have my girls, my two girls who I can always depend on when we are getting ready. When I got some shenanigans, I call and I be like, hey, sis.
Right.
You already know I'm coming with it. So I'm gonna let them introduce themselves and then we're gonna get started. So go ahead and I'm gonna start with Lynette and then we're gonna go to Adrienne. So go ahead.
Okay, so my name is Lynette. I'm the shit starter. It just is what it is. I'm that one. I've also been labeled the unreliable dating coach because I have no answers. I can't get you no man, but we're gonna figure it out together. Amen. Praise them saints. All right.
Get ready and all right. I think your audio, and I'm gonna keep
It's
this in.
delayed. It's a delay.
Hella. We gotta figure this out.
We
Headphones.
do.
There's a delay on mine.
Yeah, I have my AirPods in. I haven't moved.
What happened?
Your little intro.
Okay. My y'all love it. Y'all love it. Y'all love it.
Mine was doing some
We
kind
gonna
of
figure.
delay
Listen,
before.
It was lagging.
This is the first episode, and I've already said to myself, this is ignorance on fire. So if you are watching this and you bear with us, I promise it's gonna get better over time. But we just gonna roll with it. Like I'm not gonna listen. Progress over perfection. You know what I'm saying? So we just gonna keep moving. Go ahead, Adrienne.
Hello. I am Adrienne Necole, and many call me the Jill of all trades.
Adrienne.
But I am kind of like just over social media right now doing my thing. So I may dip a little bit of here, a little bit of there, but I am a long-term serial entrepreneur. So I dibble and dabble in quite a bit of things.
Cool. And yes, you are the Jill of all trades. My girl, do it all. I'll be like, what you doing, sis? What you got going now?
Like something. Whatever the flavor has going right now.
Whatever the flavor is, whatever I feel like it. How about that? All right, y'all. So today's topic, I wanted to do something really to intro the show. And like I said, we're ignorance on fire with this. So it may be some technical glitches, some whatever, as you bear with us and as we learn how to do this, it will get better over time. But I think what we have is still going to be great for all of the viewers. So what I wanted to talk about today is what is sexy after kids and what does it mean to each individual? And the reason why I asked these two ladies to get on is so during the pandemic, during the shutdown that we had never experienced, we all started a room on Clubhouse and we had our self-care Sundays and we would get on there and we would just have girl chat. We would talk about all kinds of things. Everybody was quarantined, everyone was in the house and everyone was just overloaded. And so we stole Bernie Mac's line of F them kids, right? And it was our moment. And remember, people used to be so much shocked. We used to say it and people would be like, oh my God, how can you say that? Girl, they are fed, they are clothed.
Very easily.
They are fine. They have everything that they need. There is nothing wrong with them. The gag is that everyone that was saying it jokingly is actually great women, great mothers, great people who take care of their kids. But in that moment, it was, hold on, we got to take time for ourselves because we cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot give your kids what you don't have. And so if you're not refilling yourself, then what are you going to be giving to them? So in terms of sexy after kids, I know for me, right? And the reason why I started it is because I grew up very small. I had a very small frame. I don't say the S word anymore. We just gonna say the other S word. I'm gonna just say I had a very small frame that in our community is not really normal. So I grew up with the, oh girl, you need to eat something. You need a sandwich. The wind gonna knock you over if you get to. I grew up with all of those sayings, right? But when I had my kids, and especially because I had the twins first, um, I blew up, right? Like had never seen it before. I'm talking about normal size, walking in the store and somebody's like, when are you due? When am I due? What like, wait a minute, right? So it was a shift. Like it was insane going from one end of the spectrum to the next end of the spectrum and really having to find myself and my level of comfortability. Like, who am I now? Right. And getting to that place of acceptance for me in this body. And so that's how it started. Um, so we've all been in direct sales before, and I was in a direct sales company that sells shakes, right? And so everybody was coming out with their brand. Oh, you can't brand the company, you have to brand yourself. And I'm like, well, what am I going to call this? Like, what am I going to like? How am I going to position myself to sell this product? And so I just started saying sexy after kids, right? And the whole premise initially was to lose weight. But what I discovered over time, obviously, I don't sell those products anymore. And what I discovered over time is that it's a mental thing. It's doing the inner work for the outer experience. It's having mom life balance. Again, F them kids, right? They're fed, they're clothed, they're taken care of. Now it's time for me. Now it's time for me to take a break real quick, hang out with my girls, have a glass of wine, release, you know what I'm saying? And let those things out. So that I can come back filled, right? The advice you get from your friends, the things y'all talk about, the commonalities that we just face as women, as mothers, as working women, as people, as in this case, as Black women, right? Um, all those things play a part. And so creating space for yourself to let go just for a moment and then come back to the table like, okay, I could do this now, right? I talk to my girls and they're going through the same thing. And so it's not a misery loves company, but I have a community who understands me and what I'm going through and the things that they poured into me. Now I can go back and I can go just a step further, right? I was finna lose my mind, but you know what? After having that moment with my girls, my safe space, my whatever, now I can go just a little bit further. So that's in a nutshell how it was created and how it started and what it means to me, right? It did start off as the superficial stuff, the weight loss, the nails, the hair, the looking good, whatever. But it really is a mental thing. It's learning yourself. And if I never lose another pound, I'm good where I'm at. It ain't never stopped me
Mhm.
from doing nothing. Ain't never stopped me from getting a bag. Ain't never stopped me from getting a man. Ain't never, you know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm,
you learn
mhm.
to live with who you are right now and accept what God gave you in this moment. So I'm gonna start with you, Adrienne, because we kind of have similar paths in terms of this, but on the opposite end, but still a very similar trajectory. So I'm gonna start with you and just ask you, what does sexy after kids mean to you as a person in your own journey?
Mhm. So for me, sexy after kids, I look at it as, of course, some people know my story and some do not, but I had my kids at a very young age, right? So now I am young 40s, empty nester pretty much because my last one is headed out the door. And so for me, I look at sexy after kids is what mental space am I in, right? I have grown in so many areas to where I am good for me first,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't feel like I'm being selfish for making sure that I'm in a good space mentally
Mm-hmm.
first because I have to be in that space in order to be good for my kids, although
Mm,
they're grown, right? So to
mm,
me, that's sexy. Has nothing to do with the exterior physical look, but
mhm,
the inside of me is in a great place.
mhm,
And so
mhm.
for me, that is what's sexy after kids, right? Being able to tap into your own, to be able to walk in a room and you just own that room. Has nothing to do about the physical, but my mental
Right.
is at such a good place to you really can't tell me nothing.
It's that inner confidence, right?
Yes.
It's that inner glow. So let me ask you this then. Did you find, because I often wonder, even with myself, is it that I've come to a place where I feel like I'm sexy after kids because I've healed and I've grown? Or is it something that happened because I remember hitting 35 and it literally felt that day? And I was laughing about this the other day. You know, I do a lot of my thoughts in the shower, right? And I talk to
Mhm.
myself. And I was thinking, like, I remember the day I turned 35 and I 100% just no longer gave a F about nobody, and like, and it's gotten progressively worse. Like now I'm 44, right?
Mhm. Uh-huh.
So each year it's like if I had a notch and it was marking the S that I gave about things, every single year I lose one.
It's
And
true.
Mhm.
it's not like in a mean way or like I'm trying to hurt people's feelings, but I literally don't. And I think the results of that is my confidence, because like you said, you can't tell me nothing now. What you gonna tell me? You don't pay my bills, you don't take care of my kids. Hey, there's
Yeah.
nothing you can do for me. You know, coming and come even coming to the door like from a man. Nah, I more so need you for that emotional support, right? I need
Right.
you, right? So let's not clear that up. I'm 100%. I need my man. I ain't one of those women who's like, I don't
Right.
need a man. I do.
Mhm,
I
I
mhm.
do.
do.
So,
Right.
hey, future husband, hey, yes, I need you
Hey,
to come
babe.
home. Right. Hey, babe, future husband, hey, honey, we waiting, you know.
Right.
But my expectations are a little bit different. It's not like I'm waiting for you to come in and do certain things because I'm comfortable in me. I don't know if I'm making sense with that. So I guess what I'm asking you is, do you find that it's more of a self-confidence thing, or do you feel like age and wisdom has played a part in how you feel now?
So, two things I want to say. So, the first one on the talking about when we were just making fun of, oh, I want a man, right? I need a man.
Mhm.
At this point, I have a saying, I need a peaceful partner, right? I don't
Come on
need you for
now.
your money. I don't need you for, quite honestly, I mean, I want some good sex, but at the end of the day, they got toys for that too.
No,
So,
no, no, no,
need a
no,
peace.
no, man.
Just saying, that's another story for another day. But you know,
Listen, we can talk about that in a minute, but go ahead. I'm gonna let you
she
rock.
can take care of herself on that end too. But the peaceful partner, right? But then to go back to your question at hand, for me, it didn't come with age. It came with more of what I tapped into and said what sexy after kids mean to me. Once I got into a space of dealing with my trauma,
Mm,
understanding my triggers, what will set me off and what won't. That's when
mhm,
I got more into that. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna cut that person off, that person off, that person off. You can't go with me. You can't keep up with me. I don't need you. And energy. I am
mm,
all about energy. If that energy is off, I'm cutting you off because it's all about my sense of peace. Like I said, sexy after kids, my well-being, my inner peace. No one will take away my inner peace. So it didn't
mhm,
come with
mhm,
age for me. It's once, like I said, dealing with the traumas, understanding my triggers, understanding what I will and will not tolerate, whether it's
mhm,
from my
mhm,
family members, friends, peers in my corporate space, right? Or my mate. Here's what I will and will not tolerate. So finding
mhm.
that inner peace is what kind of made the change for me, learning me first.
Right. So it is that inner work for the outer experience, right? Working on that inside and how you feel internally, it comes out on the external. And so what you decide you're going to accept for people, and how you're going to allow people to interact with you, it shows on the outside. Like, people know automatically whether or not they can play with you. Now, some people like to toe the line, they like to do it anyway, but most people, based on how you present, are going to be like, yeah, no, I'm not even going to fool with that right now. So I'm gonna jump over
Right.
to you, Lynette, and I'm gonna ask you, what is sexy after kids to you? What does that mean for you in your own journey?
So I remember when you started Sexy After Kids, and I remember I guess, the foundation for which it was built, and then like how you just explained it. And I'm starting to realize, and it's funny because I was driving, picking up my daughter, and I really thought about it, like, okay, what does that really mean to me? You know, and I'm 46, so I'm a year and a half out from the whole empty nester. My son's already 25, my daughter will be 17 in 2 months. So, I'm really kind of at that point. So for me, Sexy After Kids is not so much of an image, like a physical image.
Mhm.
It's a lot about what I've done as a mother all these years, and now what it's going to look like thereafter. Literally after the kids are gone. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? What does my life look like? What does their life look like? Did I put out productive citizens out into the world,
Mm.
versus, the little heathens that are happening out here? Did I set a good example for my kids? You know, Sexy After Kids, it's definitely not just about, like weight in the whole nine. Because a lot like you, Apple, like I literally grew up, I was really small. So when I did get older and I started having kids and I started to fill out, I was like, oh, okay, this is a thing, you know.
Mhm.
But so I really didn't really concentrate on, I did, but I didn't with the whole weight thing. But like
Mhm.
Sexy After Kids, it's literally a mentality, you know. It's literally a mentality. It's literally a mentality. It's literally all about how you feel about yourself. What does your life look like?
Mhm.
For me, it's about what my life looks like more so than anything. After my kids are gone, the empty nest syndrome, that's what is really resonating with me as far as Sexy After Kids. What does my life look like? What do my children's lives look like? You know, so that's pretty much where I am with that.
So yours is a couple of things that you said. So yours is a literal after kids, and I guess to an extent yours is too, Adrian. I have a couple of years left for them, and
And it's a
one of
different
my
feel.
sons.
It's a
Would
different
you say?
feeling. I,
Yeah,
I'm on the
yeah.
fence
And one of
with
my
my
sons is
daughter
always
leaving.
going to be with me. So I don't know that I'm
Yeah.
ever going to have an empty nest, right?
Hmm.
Having a son with autism, I don't know that I'm ever going to have an empty nest per se, right? I
Hmm.
mean,
Hmm.
it just is what it is. But I think there's something to that. There's the literal after kids. Like, I've spent all this time focused in this area, and now I have all this, I don't want to say free time, because you're always going to be concerned about your kids. You always listen,
Hmm.
at my big age, I still be on the phone like, hey mom,
Right.
these
Hmm.
people said blah blah blah. And whatever my temperament is at the moment, I need you to give me the words, because I'm about to
Got to
say,
go
I'm
left.
Hmm.
I'm about to do this, and I need you to, you know what I mean? Even at my big age. So you always need your parents, and parents are always going to be there for their kids. But I think there is a literal transition of, there's sexy after kids when you're in the moment and you're just trying to feel good, and you're trying to feel like, what does life feel like? How do I not lose the woman inside of all these titles? Mom, soccer mom, PTA mom, you know what I mean? And all the different things you're
Hmm.
doing as your kids are growing up. And then there's sexy after my kids have moved out. Now I got all this
Hmm.
free time. What am I supposed to
Hmm.
Right.
do with myself? Right? Because you have those women, and there are some women who dedicate, we all dedicate ourselves to our kids. So let me rephrase that. You have some women who literally everything,
That's
like,
it. That's all they
I'm
know.
not dating, I'm not getting my hair done, I'm not hanging out with my friends, I'm not doing anything. And then your kids move out. Do you now become the meddling parent? Or do you now become the
No.
person that doesn't know what you're doing? And I think the whole process, again, it's the mom life balance. It's finding that balance so that when you are in a position like you, Lynette, at the end of the day, I'm not confused. Like now I'm like, oh shoot, oh snap. Like I can go
Yeah.
golf. I can go take up them classes I wanted to take. I can go travel. I can go,
Yeah.
whatever. Ride a
And
horse,
to your point, I'm actually kind of going through that now because I've been raising kids since I was 21.
Mm.
You know, so at the end of the day, it's like I did lose me. And not to say that it was in a bad way, because I felt that I did what I was supposed to be doing as a mother. You
Mhm.
know,
Right.
my kids came first, they were taken care of, their activities, whatever the case may be. But like literally, I've had people ask me, not too long ago, a couple of times, so what do you like to do? I don't know. You know what I mean? I
Right.
like I like to sleep.
Mhm.
I work a lot.
Listen, we
I
all like
don't
to sleep.
know.
That's all you
Yeah, you
know.
know what I mean? But like I don't have a real solid answer. You know what I
Mhm,
mean? My
mhm,
answer is
mhm.
pretty vague. Like, yeah, everyone likes to sleep. Yeah, everyone likes to shop and eat and the whole cliche things. But what does Lynette really enjoy? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going through this phase of finding me. I'm going through this phase of, okay, like right now I'm kind of all over the place. Do I want to downsize? And then I come up with some kind of, spontaneous, impulsive thing like, well, maybe I'll just go to Canada for a little while. Maybe I'll go to another state. Oh, I've come up with some things. Listen. And
She's
people are
gonna
like,
leave.
girl, what? You're
Huh?
right. Like you
What?
going where? And I'm just kind of making up little scenarios in my head. And then I again, I don't know. Even my activities that I've done in my life have been pretty much based around my kids, or they were in it with me, or whatever the
Mhm,
case may
mhm.
be.
Their
So
schedule. You
yeah,
you
everything is
having to
built
be
around
flexible.
everything is
Right.
built around that. Everything's built
Well,
like
I,
I'm
I kind of got you
self-employed
beat. You
because I
said
have to
you have
be.
been a parent since 21, Lynette. I have been a parent
Hmm.
since 13.
Oh, God bless your heart.
Right. So,
We need like a bell or an alarm or something for that.
We
Like, ring the
do.
alarm. I've been through this too
yes,
long.
We
yes,
do.
yes.
Look, Beyonce don't fool me. I didn't
So
mean to steal your lyric.
I'm like 13 now, 42.
Right.
Um, the whole thing of, like you said, dating looks different, right? So
Who?
I have four grown sons and my daughter who just turned 19, who's about to head out to the Air Force. Like, it looks different for me because I've been single for 11 years
So have I. On
because I
record.
refused to
Hold
have
on.
a man around my daughter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
single as in like no boyfriend, no, you've had
No,
friends.
yeah, I've
Friends?
I've had a friend,
But
no
no
one
one
that
that
I'm just
has been
dating
introduced.
like
Okay.
serious. We are going heading towards marriage. We are in
Okay.
a full-fledged relationship. Because I didn't want to bring anybody around my daughter,
Mm-hmm.
right? I had
And
to
same for
grow
you.
and heal internally because I still had those trust issues from that
Okay.
trauma that I experienced, right? So I was like, no, I'm protecting my daughter at all costs. So if that means I don't date until she get ready to go out the door, guess what? She getting ready to go out the door. So guess what? Mama
Mhm.
outside.
I was
Right.
about to say, so how do you feel now? Like but what does that look like now, right? Because I think there's so they always talk about, and I can't remember the terms because I'm not a psychologist, right? But there's always the healed when you're not, I guess, in a situation. And then what does that application look like, right? So I've done the work, but now I got to apply the work in the actual dating space. And let me tell you, honey, the dating space right now, what does that look like trying to apply the work in this current market? Because so I, even I, right? So I was married to the boy's dad for 10 years before it just was like, no, this just isn't it anymore, right? And then it took like another maybe year or so, 6 months to a year. It was a pretty quick divorce because it really wasn't no contesting, right?
Hmm.
Before it was final. But even for me coming back into the dating space, and so I totally agree with you, even having boys, my thing was I do not want my sons having the impression of me as a woman having men just
In
In
and
and
in and
out.
out,
out.
in and out, in and out, right? So no, you're not meeting
That's
them.
not
Like, no,
sexy.
we're not. Like at all. Let's start there. Okay. So no, you're not meeting them. Like, no, we're not. I really only had one. One that they knew for sure, and one that they just was like, oh, that's mom's friend.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
Like, but it was never like an official whatever. But I never wanted them to have, and they were very informal situations. Like the one that they knew for sure, there was a conversation like, this is what it is, blah, 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 blah. This is where we are now, right? Um, the other one, it was more of a like in passing thing. So there was never a need to really like have that conversation, right? But coming back from being married and then stepping into this current dating scene, but still having the personality and the expectations and operating as someone who's a wife. Like, I'm single,
Right.
but I'm a wife. Like, let's
Right.
not get that confused. So
Mhm.
my expectations of someone who comes in my life are very different. You can't come here playing with me. You can't come here interrupting. I've worked very hard to heal. I've worked very hard to develop a sanctuary of peace for me and my boys. It ain't a whole lot of,
Yes.
even my kids. My kids are not rough. They not arguing and fussing if I don't have bad kids. So our house, that's a little sarcastic. You have two Virgos and two Capricorns. Do with that what you will. You know
It
what I'm saying?
Right.
it took
So
some work to get that piece going.
it's a lot of perfection and it's a lot
Mhm.
of sarcasm that kind of goes, throughout the house, respectfully for them, of course, because I'm their mother, but also understanding personalities, right? So anyone that comes in here, you can't come disturbing or interrupting or whatever. And I'm very clear to men that although I'm divorced from their dad, and I wouldn't call us friends because we're not, because if we didn't have these kids, there
Mm.
would be no. So let's be
Mhm.
clear.
Mhm. You're
However,
co-parent.
however, they have a father.
Mhm.
So you just got to be a good person. Like, just be a good person, right? Plus they're older now. The discipline is done. Like, you don't need to come in here with the whatever, right? I'm very clear about certain things, and I guess what I'm asking is, how do you see your transition from not having relationships into this cesspool of, and I'll say that even for the men. If I had a man on here, I would ask him the same question because I've heard it from both sides. It is a cesspool. And the ones who are decent, we're few and far between. So
Right.
how do you deal with that? Both of
You don't
y'all.
know
I'm
how
gonna
to
let you answer that.
identify who is what based off of just looking at them on the exterior. It's hard to
Mhm,
tell that good
mhm,
person, right? You can't just
mhm,
tell a person is a good person or a peaceful partner just by looking at them.
mhm.
Um, I will say, being that I'm just going back into the dating scene now, I mean, like I said, 11 years I've been single. Um, I quickly realized that I didn't know what dating looked like.
Okay.
And I'm going to say that because I can count my relationships on one hand,
Mhm,
but each one of those relationships, they were long term. The
mhm,
guy pursued me. We
mhm,
got in a relationship.
mhm,
I was in that relationship for all my relationships last anywhere from 4 to 6 years,
mhm,
right? So it's like I don't know what it means, what it felt like to date a couple of guys here and date this guy and date that guy. I didn't know.
mhm,
So I'm gonna be
mhm.
honest. Here I am at my big age, just now really dating. Cause it was, girl, I like you and we in a relationship. Girl, you ain't going nowhere.
That was the old school way.
Yes.
That is not what they're doing now.
So now when I first jumped out here, I'm like, okay, feelings getting all hurt because I didn't know that that's what that looked like, right? That you're supposed to go out for a drink, maybe go somewhere and maybe talk and get to learn each other, and what questions are you supposed to ask when you're trying to
When I tell
learn
you
that
I don't wanna
person,
know
right?
nobody else's favorite color, I don't care. I don't care what your favorite color is. I don't care what you do for a living. I don't care
Because
what your kids
what am I
do.
going to do with that information?
I don't care how many siblings you have. If you're staying, then I definitely wanna know that information. But
Well,
I
I do kind
mean,
of care how many siblings you have and if it's boys or girls because I'm an only child. So I need to
okay.
know if I got to deal with your cousins, your
Oh,
sisters, if you got a big
okay.
family, if I got to deal
Yeah,
with your mama. So, those are kind of questions I will ask. Colors, I do not really care.
yeah.
Um, Birthdays, oh, I'm going to tell on myself because this is going to be aired out there. But I use birthdays to my advantage. Um, I have to tell you
No
guys about that
listen.
off air. But
Hey, listen.
dating looked different for me because I didn't know what dating looked like.
Right.
I am just now at a place to where I have learned what dating is supposed to look like and feel like. You can't have your emotions in it right off the bat,
At
right?
all.
Well, I didn't know that
Tuck them in your
because
pocket.
I didn't know that because in my past, the guy like me, we were together 4, 5, 6 years.
Let me say something, and then we gonna go to Lynette. You see how this I had to woof, child, emotion off of that one. I learned, and I don't want to say this because when I say I don't want to give this person no credit, I learned very quickly the art of detachment in a somewhat healthy way, in a way that protects you from what's out there because of a situation that ended terribly. And I was like you. I mean, I was like, you can't prototype. I'm talking about, oh, I hate saying this on air because Lord, ugh,
Getting all the tea. They getting all the tea.
I just don't want to give nobody no credit for nothing. Like, ugh. Anyway, fine. Everything I wanted. Let me just say this. Everything I wanted. So let me not go specifics, right? Everything I wanted in this person, but they were a class A 100%. And I know this term is a buzzword and I know we like to stay away from this term, but they were a covert narcissist, which to me is worse
Mhm.
than an over because over kind of see it coming. Like if you got your list
Yeah.
about yourself, you see it coming, and you could be like, "Oh, absolutely not. I'm not dealing with that." But
Mhm.
a covert is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Like you don't see it
Mhm.
until he's literally about to destroy you, right?
Yeah.
And so from that situation, though, I learned what you're talking about, which is hold on, like let me tuck all not only tuck all of it, let me observe and let me go to prayer. Let me pray to God about this. Hey Lord, I need you to tell me about this person because I'm starting to feel this. And so if it's not real, then I need you to remove him. And not only remove him, and I did a video about this, not only remove him, but give me the wisdom, the sense, the peace to just be like, okay, no
Mhm.
problem. Right? Because you don't want to be in a situation where it depletes you. You don't want to be in a situation where you're constantly just giving, giving, giving. Because as women who have been wives, long-term relationships, the danger is you tend to operate like that with everybody, right? It's hard to shut it
Correct.
off because it's innate.
Yes.
And I had that
Yes.
Because
conversation
that's
with
what
my
you want.
sister.
That's what you desire.
That's what you want, but that's also who you are, right?
Mhm.
Like I had a conversation with my sister, and we were like, we were raised as women. We cook, we clean, we do the house stuff, we whatever. So if I'm digging you and you're coming around, it's not like I'm trying to play wife, and I'm definitely not trying to be a
I'm
pick
just
me.
doing
But
my
my
natural thing.
natural instinct is like, oh, you're coming over? Cool. Let me go
Yep.
to the grocery store and make dinner because you're a
Mhm.
man and you're coming over, and no man is coming to my house and finna be hungry. Like, I'm just
Right.
not gonna do it. But everybody
Yeah.
doesn't deserve it. Right. And that's the crazy part about the
Girl.
dating scene is learning, like, and having to shut that off, like, oh, you coming over? Cool. Or, oh, I'm gonna meet you some, or how about this? You can't come over. Let's start
Right.
there. You can't come over. I'm gonna
Right.
meet you here, but it's it's a thing that you almost have to unlearn, right? When you are built a certain way. So I'm gonna go to you, Lynette, and ask you, like, dating, you're now about to be an empty nester, right? We call you the unreliable dating coach. You got some real talk, but you're still single. So let's talk about that. Like, what does that look like right now in this dating space?
So I've been single on record for 11 years, and that's literally the term that I give people. What does on record mean? Meaning I have not been in an exclusive relationship. Have I dealt with people? Absolutely. I'm not a nun, but I have not been in an actual relationship in 11 years. And pretty much like you ladies, your stories. I was with my husband for 10 years. And then before that, I mean, hell, I was like 20 something years old. So I had a boyfriend here and a boyfriend there, whatever, you know what I mean? I was young. So coming out of that initially, right after my divorce, you couldn't pay me to get in a relationship. So it didn't matter. It did not matter. Like at that point, I was doing me. I was interested in getting my mind back right, first of all, because
Right.
being with someone for 10 years and then you go through a divorce and then whatever comes with that relationship that caused a divorce and so on and so forth, you have to really take some time to get back to yourself. I'm not the cliche. I'm not the, oh my God, let me do self-care. Let me write it down. Let me journal. I'm not her, you know, and I think it's different for everyone. Let me be clear. Do you, you know, but for me, I'm not that girl. You know, I do things, whatever is comfortable for me, you know. So I didn't do the, oh, give yourself some time, you know, spend some time with yourself. No, I finished college, you know. I didn't intentionally say I'm not going to date today. I just didn't, you know, and I went on with my life. I had my schedule. I did my thing, you know. As far as dating today, my God, you know,
When it's hard out
say less, sis. Say less. Hold on. No, I think we're gonna need a drink for this.
oh my God, what the you know, so I've had, you know, listen, I've had quite a few conversations lately. I've done a few podcasts lately, and it's a shit show. And I'm gonna tell you why. Okay.
Well.
So here's the thing. First of all, let me be clear for all the influencers out there. I listen to a lot of different influencers, both male and female, because I like to get everyone's perspective. Okay. I don't think that anyone is more right than the other. I do, however, feel that it is regional. Okay. I don't believe that anyone in North Carolina can tell me how I need to act as a woman or how my house should be run or my finances should go. And I live in Inglewood, which is in Los Angeles County, where the houses already start at $1 million, where rent is at least $3,000 for a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment. Like, miss me. Your rent is $650. I don't want to hear nothing. None of y'all who got $650 rent should be talking about I need 50 nothing.
Heck your wage over there.
Is it $650? We need to Google that. What did you say? What town in South Carolina?
Girl, listen. Listen.
Hold on. No shade to anybody that's in South Carolina, but you got two Californians and a Texan over here. So
do you? But I'm in Los Angeles. I'm in Inglewood, and listen, you cannot, like, it's so much, and everyone thinks that they're right.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that everyone is wrong, but like everyone has this different, I guess, notion on what they feel. One thing that I'm so super tired of hearing is you have certain people who will say, well, nowadays, you know, inflation and it takes 2 incomes and blah, 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 because back in the day, things were cheaper and it was easier. Okay, let's touch that one real quick. Let's go back to like, I don't know, 1983, okay, where everything was hella cheap. But guess what? Minimum wage was what in 1983? What was minimum wage in 1983? So folks wasn't making nothing back then. So it was a balance. Those that struggled. Those that had money had money. But yet and still,
Mm-hmm.
you had people's dads, you had people's grandfathers who was still handling business at home and taking care of their family. Huh?
Hold on. And this is what it says. In 1983, the federal government set the minimum wage at $3.35.
Say who?
Yes. My first job, I made $4 an hour. Fight
What?
me. Okay? Do you understand me?
Mm.
So people today, first of all, we make more money in 2023 than we made in 1983. Okay.
This is true.
Things costed a lot back then. You got to understand something. $200 in 83 was like, oh my God, you're balling. Compared to right now, we spend that on gas. We spend that
Child,
on
I'm
lunch.
walking outside every
I
day
Do you
for no
understand?
reason.
I
Yes.
I
Do
just
you
spent that at
understand?
DSW in 30 minutes.
I can't
And
figure
that's
it
what I'm
out.
saying. So it balances it out. Or you'll have people say, well, if you don't like it in California, it costs too much in California, then just move. Okay, let's run this. Let's run this thing real quick. If I go, say, to another state, okay, I don't know, somewhere over that way. Let's use even Texas, for example, right? Adrienne, you live in
I was
Texas,
about to
right?
say, don't come here because y'all already
I
coming
can
here to
come. Oh, no,
California.
no, ma'am.
She
No,
said
ma'am.
we
You don't have to worry
full.
about
Don't come
me.
here.
Don't come over
We are
here.
full. We are full. Okay. No, no, no. But just as an example, because a
I
lot of
tell you,
people
ain't nobody trying to come to Cali, no way.
they know they're not trying. They can't afford it.
Listen, that's why I said
Everybody's
they ain't
trying to
trying to come.
go.
Don't come over
And they
here.
migrating to Texas because these California companies keep coming
Listen,
here. They know the
Well,
property
not
tax
only
is
that,
let
but
you
tax
here,
something.
rate.
but
When my last child graduates from high school, I'm out. I don't know where I'm going. I done told my
now
family.
you sound like
It was like,
me.
how many days you got? I said, I calculated from my youngest son's what I anticipate will be his graduation date. And I said, I got 2,365 days. They said, how come
I
you know
mean, if
that?
Right.
it's you two,
But
you
I'm
could
wait,
come
alone.
to
but
Texas.
but
Don't
but
nobody else come.
Believe
listen, but no. But listen. So Texas versus California, right? So people are like,
me.
oh well, if you can't do California, then go somewhere else, and you and so can make a living and do this amazing stuff. First of all, yeah, you get a lot more bang for your buck in Texas, but guess what? You also make less money in Texas. So again, to my point, everything balances out. It
It
doesn't really
does.
matter. You're not going to
It does.
find. I think our minimum wage here in California is what, $16, $15, something like
16
that.
on the first is 16.
Right. You understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, so even like with average jobs or people with degrees, like we make money and people think we're balling. No, we are living pretty much on the line like everybody else because it's expensive to
Well, the
live
thing
here.
is, so the cost of living does not match.
Match
So
the
there
living wage.
at
Mm-hmm.
all.
Yeah.
There's such an
It doesn't.
imbalance right now, and that probably is everywhere. It probably really is everywhere, but
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
there's such a gap between like, oh, okay, so you're raising minimum wage, but you're also
But
raising the
you
cost of living. So we're never
exactly.
going like this. It's always you're just doing this, you know what I'm saying? Instead
Exactly.
of
Yeah, because
so,
Yeah.
here in Texas, if you don't
but
make
how
over
does
six
that
figures, you don't
factor?
live comfortable.
So that
No,
factors into what, dating?
yeah, how does that factor
Because
into
what happens
dating?
what happens is when you have, like, before guys even start getting serious, nowadays everything is a financial conversation, which it should be. It's just a financial conversation earlier in the game, because kind of like what
Mhm.
Adrienne
Mm-hmm.
said back then, if you hung out with a guy, you guys went together. If you guys went and had lunch together, you guys went together. There was really not a whole lot of thought to it. So now these guys are coming again. You have social media, where all these influences. So now you have guys talking about the 50-50 rule. Now everybody has to make sure they're in agreement before they go into a relationship. If I have to go 50-50 with you, then I can get a roommate and I don't need you. Now, that is
I'm
not
so
to say
glad
I don't
I'm,
need a
I'm
man.
so glad you
And
said that
I
tonight.
don't need
Listen,
anyone to tell me, oh, well, then you could just pay 100% of your bills there, and at least 50-50, you can pay half of them. Kiss my ass, first of all. Okay. Whatever.
First of all,
Secondly, everything is a financial thing, which it has to be, but it's done so early on, and everybody has such strong opinions. Like me, first of all, I don't like being called an independent woman. I do not like being called a strong woman. You
I
know,
hate
because
that.
for one, right, it infers that I don't need help. I don't need anyone checking up on me, and that Lynette is okay 24/7.
Well, here's the
That is
thing.
not the
The other
case.
thing, especially
And
when a man says it, it infers that you can just do whatever you want to me, and I'm gonna be okay.
Okay.
And the fact of the matter is, I'm not okay. I'm not
yeah,
okay with what you're doing, and I'm not okay with the effects of what you're doing.
Correct.
So,
yeah,
no, don't call me that.
right,
Or
right.
like when they be like, "Okay, big money." Well, am I big money? Listen,
Oh,
I'm doing.
oh, oh, that would set me off.
Can we talk
Oh,
about it? When I tell you,
But
don't call me, don't, okay, big money. First of all, I'm an adult.
that one
I'm doing what
sets
I'm
me
supposed to do. I'm adult, I'm a mother. So regardless of where I've chosen to live, because I don't want my kids living in certain areas or experiencing certain things, that's my choice. It's a sacrifice though.
yeah,
Everything that happens
yes,
is a sacrifice. It ain't big money. It's I've made a choice and then I did the things that I needed to do to live the way that I've wanted to live to make sure my kids
correct,
have the things that I've
correct.
wanted them to have. Because big money definitely wouldn't be living.
Or they ask you, well, what do you do for a living? And you tell them what you do for a living. It's like, oh, you
but
sound
that's
Yeah.
like you
kind of a
make a lot of
trap. But
money.
wait, wait. That's kind of a trap,
What?
and I'm gonna tell you why. Because you have some men, you have about two, three types of men. Okay, you have that man who's like, I can't be with no bum bitch, and she can't be just sitting around waiting on me to do everything and getting her EBT
Mm-hmm.
card and
Mm-hmm.
blah 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 blah. Right? Then you
Mm-hmm.
have the man who says, I don't want my woman to work because I don't want her to be giving all her time to somebody else, and that she's too busy to give me some face when I get home. Okay, so you want somebody to come and cook and clean the house and do the whole 9 yard and go to work in the whole 9 yard. Okay. And then you have the one who penalizes, and I'm saying this very loosely, and I'm gonna go with Generation X mainly. Because the way the Gen X, and I'm Gen X, the way Gen X came up was we were told to go to college. Jobs back in the day required a college education.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Mm-hmm.
something that you had to do. So we didn't just jump out into the world and say, yeah, we're women. We're going to burn our bras on our way to work because we need to go make all this money, get 1,500 degrees and all this other stuff. No, we were literally told that we needed to go to college. And if we wanted to get any higher than where we were, we needed to get the next degree and the next degree and the next degree. So now what happens is we're living in this new world of dating, and it gets held against us because, oh, well, you're too educated. It's almost like a job telling you that you're freaking overqualified. You go to a
Had
guy and tell him that you have 1.5 million degrees because you kind of had to, or because
uh-huh.
you were just told that when you get out of high school. Now all of a sudden, oh, well, you're gonna think that you're better than me, and you're gonna look at me as less of a man because you got all this education. And it's like, yo, it is like literally not that serious,
I
so
saw a
you
guy
really kind of
post. He
don't
was
know
like about
where to
degrees.
go.
He was like, I wish women would leave all of the degrees that they have and they got in 2023. We don't care as a man. We don't care how many degrees you have.
Okay, and that's fine. Hold on. Okay,
Oh,
and that's fine. So we're gonna meet John Doe. John Doe's gonna somehow, some way find out about the education that we have. Okay, fine, but it's not something that comes up in conversation. So at the end of the day, as long as John Doe don't bring it up, what's the problem? Now, that is not to say that you don't have women out there like, well, I'm, more educated than you, and I'm this and I'm that and the other.
I literally was
You
about
have
to
it.
play devil's
You have
advocate
it,
and
but
say,
that's not everybody. That's
mm-hmm.
not
it's not
everybody.
everybody, but we do. So here's my thing. I think we have to try to understand men and women and where each person is coming from in their experiences, because you do have women who lead with, I do this, I make this, I got this, I don't need no man, blah blah. You do, right? Like
Mhm.
again, I'm not on no pick me stuff, but the fact of the matter is you have women who are like that, just like you have men who are like, the passport bros and whatever, right? And then you have those of us that are like not like that, but unfortunately, because there's no controversy behind it, we don't get seen in the media, right? You don't
Right.
see us on a regular to know we're out here, right? There's what, listen, I will tell a man in a heartbeat, I will gladly give you all of this.
Listen,
I
I'm
will
ready to stay in a
gladly go
child's
in that
place. I'm ready to
kitchen
stay in the
and bake
kitchen.
you a pound cake and
Cause I
make
am.
you a meal and let you take all of this. Please, I
Right.
want to be soft and feminine. I want to
Right.
give you all of this crap, no problem. And you ain't gonna have to ask me for nothing. But even in that, and I think it was you and I that were talking about this, Lynette, you have to watch that because what does it come with?
Yeah.
Right. And so there's a
Mhm.
thing here.
Mhm.
So even if I give you the submission that you're asking for, even if I give you, I stopped working, or well, I ain't gonna never stop working because I just ain't that kind. I'm just not built like that, right? Like I always have to
Mhm.
have something. But even if I gave you the bulk of it, right, and whatever I did was play money or however they want to position it, what comes with that? For me, though, what is your expectation of me if I give you that? Right. And so now am I
Yeah.
your glorified slave? Am I
Mhm.
your
Mhm.
where do I
What does that
fall?
look like?
What does that look like for me? And
You
then
mean like
also,
if you
and
were
I
to
had
stop
this
working and just be a
conversation too.
housewife? Are you talking about
What
if you were just be a housewife completely?
100%. What comes with that? What's the expectation?
A problem. Because I told you. I told you.
No, for
I
real.
told you.
No, for
Cuckoo.
Because
real.
what the problem with that is, again, and it's unfortunate, but this is reality. The moment that man with all of that money leaves you and you're sitting there couch surfing and trying to
Mm.
figure out how to, rob Peter to pay Paul because you once upon a time had, your career going on, but you haven't been in the field doing whatever and God knows how long. See, that's the thing as well. You can have this amazing career, but for a lot of industries, if you step out of that industry for too long, you're shit out of luck.
It's
Experience.
over. You got
Mhm.
to start from the
So now
beginning.
you're broke, and a lot of times they don't look at that. You know what I'm saying?
They want to
And
know what's that gap.
whatever,
Yeah.
yeah,
Why
yeah,
were you
you
not
know,
working? What were you doing in all this time? Girl, I was raising my kids.
yeah.
Okay,
So where are
so
your
we're gonna
skills
start you on the lower end because you don't have experience. Well, I have 20 years of experience, but you haven't had 20 years of experience
within
in
the
10
last?
years.
Mhm.
So
Exactly.
now you got to start from scratch. But here's my thing, even if he doesn't leave, even if y'all stay together for life. So let's take the narrative of your grandparents. And I had this conversation with someone about how men will say, well, my grandmother, she took care of 13 kids and she da 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 da. But she also couldn't really go anywhere. And honestly, if you break it down, your grandfather was probably an asshole. And that's why cousin so and so is kind of your auntie, but kind of
Ah,
not, and kind of let's
ah,
be for real, right? Like
right.
you do the math. Like I'm trying to figure out. So if the birth order is auntie so and so, mama, cousins, auntie so and so, uncle so and so, blah blah blah. Where
Mhm.
does auntie come from, and where she fit in the mix? Because she right in the
Right.
middle of
Right.
mama and
That's the one
uncle.
on the other side of the track.
Where she come
Right.
from?
Right.
Right?
But then
But
you also got to
y'all
understand.
still married. And here's the thing. I'm not, because we all have them in our family, or we've all had them. A lot of them are now older and they've transitioned and whatever. We've all seen it, but you can't compare one thing to the other because I'm almost positive, and I swear there was a TikTok. There was some kind of video I seen like a couple weeks ago where an older woman was talking about how she got pregnant by a boy, right? Her and a boy that she liked. She got pregnant by him. And the boy decided when she got pregnant that he didn't want to be bothered with her.
Mm.
But this is back in the day. So
Mhm.
so her mama went down to the church or wherever, and his family, and they all got together, and they basically was like, we don't really care, y'all need to be together. And then they got together, and I don't remember the exact story, but she endured years of hardship because this man really did not want to be with her, but getting rid of it wasn't allowed back then. She couldn't go nowhere. Her mama was like, since you want to be fast and have babies, you got to get out my house. So
Right.
Mhm.
now she's in a position where she has to put up with this person who did all these horrible things. And you know what I mean? Like, had her life, had she made a different decision, so let's not take the responsibility off of her either. Had she not made a different decision, her life would have went on another path. But because it didn't, she endured all these years of hardship and all these different things like that. And what she was saying at the end of it was like, I stayed because I didn't have a choice. I didn't stay. Like, regardless of what the grandkids think about, oh, they've been together 50 years, blah, blah, blah. I stayed because I didn't have a choice. I stayed because opportunities just were not available to me like that back then. So I had to put up with it. And so I think it's a little unfair on both sides, whoever's using the conversation, to compare what we're going through now to those relationships. Because while there were some where grandma and grandpa were truly soulmates and he loved her from the day he met her to the day they passed on or to the day they're currently at, there's a lot of situations where it was more of an obligation on his part, because you just don't do women a certain way, right? That even men didn't have freedom to do women a certain way back then. And from a woman's perspective, you didn't have a choice because you didn't have opportunity. So lack of opportunity and obligation equals 75 years of marriage, 10 million grandchildren, and everybody thinks this is golden. And both of them are like, hey, we would have did something totally different.
My great grandparents
lived
in the same house, 2 different bedrooms.
But you got to understand something also. It also depends on what age you're talking to. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Like our generation, like our grandparents, like my grandparents were born in the 30s. Okay. So that's a little different than, say, these millennials where their grandparents are literally what? Baby boomers? So they were born in maybe the 50s. Girl, we are not baby boomers. Wait.
I said some of them are our age. I know plenty of 40-year-old grandparents.
So right, and so do I. So
Adrienne like me.
So
my oldest is 28.
Yeah,
it depends on literally like who you're talking to. So like somebody in my generation, or my age, where my grandparents, like I said, were born in like the 20s and the 30s, and my great grandparents were born in like the late 1800s, early 1900s. They could they even really get jobs? And if so, when was that? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, it's apples and oranges compared to what we're going through today, in that sense. But again, as far as things leveling out, things were hard back then. Things are hard now. We don't make a living wage based on the minimum wage or what people are willing to pay. And they certainly didn't back then either. So in that sense, I'm not saying it's the same. I'm simply saying that I don't like comparisons like that. It's kind of like, let's talk about today. Like when guys do that and the whole whatever, like, and to me, again, I wasn't raised that way. So to me, it's just weird. Like the 50-50 thing. I could not imagine going to the grocery store and buying groceries for the house and calling my man and saying, hey, babe, so do you have your half on the groceries? You want to sell that to me real quick?
So hold on. Do 50-50 relationships work that way? Or like the times that I've heard it, I've heard people say stuff like, he covers the rent, I cover
like the phone bill and the
phone bill. And so it tends to balance out. Is it a literal, hey, give me your half, put your half in the thing? Or is it, and so this is another scenario that I've heard that in this economy. So while I say I would love to give it all to you, reality is the way this economy is built, unless you have somebody that is just ridiculously, astronomically just got it like that, the majority of people are 2-income households. And so how I view 50-50 for that is something like, regardless of who makes more, everybody puts their money in the pot, right? And that money goes and that money pays all the bills, right? It makes sure the house functions.
Can you clarify that for me? Hold on. Can you clarify that when you say everybody puts their money in the pot? So like I get paid on Friday, he gets paid on Friday. We take our whole paycheck and put it into one pot. Is what you're saying?
You have a joint account.
Are you saying put your whole paycheck, both of you, into the joint account?
Yes. Hold on, let me finish.
She ready. Lynette, no.
Girl,
let me clarify first.
I'm just like, wow.
I said this is how I would view a 50-50 situation. If you're married,
that's how I'm viewing it. Yeah.
Also, let me clarify, if you're married, not
there you go.
If you are dating. So let me clarify this.
Because if we
If you're
dating, you got
married,
your own, I got my own.
how I view it and how I've known some people to do it is regardless of who makes more, you take what you've earned, both checks, and they go into the pot. That is your joint account, right? Everything to keep the house functioning, mortgage slash rent, groceries, extracurricular activities, cell phone bills, whatever it is, pays out from the joint. Whatever is remaining gets split equally, and y'all have y'all play money accounts. Now, if you decide to save and he decides to burn his money, and 15 days into the month, he out, well, sir, you ain't got no more play money. Or, ma'am, you just ain't got no more
You
play
done.
money. You done, because that part is your responsibility, right? We've paid what we're supposed to pay, and we've handled our. I see your face, Lynette, and we've
Our
handled our
obligations.
obligations, and we've handled our obligations as a couple.
They're like,
So what you
nope.
do with your play money is your business. That's how I would view it if it were a quote unquote 50-50. I'm not calling you and asking you for half of nothing. Like, if you're my man, it should already be there. Like, what are we doing here? You know what I
We
mean?
got a
But if the
joint
way
account.
that our
And that's what
household,
I was saying. Because I've heard
if
somebody
the
like
way that our
literally
household
go
has
that
to
route. I was
function,
like,
yeah, if
what?
we have to function on a 50-50, then that's the only way that I see that being fair, is what I previously described. I'm not calling you and asking you for
For
half
your
of these
half.
groceries.
Right.
Do you
Right.
want
I'm just
half
gonna
of the
buy
meal?
them.
Do you want
I'm
half
just
of
gonna
this
buy
piece of
them.
chicken? Do you want the
Right.
chicken and not the mashed potato? What are we doing here? You know what I mean?
Right.
Well,
But
see,
everybody
so
Right.
for
should
me,
have the access that they need to the account.
I take 50-50 way beyond just the financial aspect. And I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
Because if it's truly 50-50, then that means everything is 50-50. The cleaning of the home,
That
the
part.
cooking,
Come
the
on.
making sure the kids are straight. Because guess what? If it's, say, the example you provided, financially, we just putting all of our money in one bucket. We're taking care of our obligations first. We're taking whatever the surplus is, dividing it, and that's what you have to move forward to do individually. But I still gotta cook. I still gotta take care of the kids majority. I gotta play Uber, Lyft. I still gotta do homework with the kids. All of that is still happening just on my plate.
Okay, so hold on then. So let's add to the 50-50 conversation gender roles.
I believe in gender roles. I
Okay.
do. 100%. 100%.
So what does that look like though? Because traditionally, let's take it back to the conversation we were having about the grandparents. Traditionally, to Adrienne's point, the most he's doing, mowing the lawn, taking out the trash, and maybe hanging up a picture or doing some electrical stuff. She is cooking, cleaning, homework, running the kids around, doing all the stuff. That's not fit. There's no balance there. So I guess if it's a true 50-50 to not just the financial, but it's also a 50-50 to the other aspects of the relationship in the home, where's the balance and where does it stop if we're also including gender roles? Or is 50-50, hey, ain't no gender roles and we all just doing
Can
our
I?
part because we've agreed to be. I don't like 50-50 because I feel like it's
Mhm.
petty. I feel like,
Yeah, it is.
however we're operating, we got to do what's best for us, right? And what
Right.
that is everyone should contribute as a functioning adult. I am an adult. When my sons are not here, I got to take out my trash. Now,
Right.
if there's a man in my home, I'm sorry. I'm probably not. I'm not hanging a
Oh no, I
picture. I'm
feel
not
you.
You
handing it.
shouldn't.
100%.
I'm not taking
A
out the
hundred
trash. The
percent.
man is here, right? So but also playing devil's advocate, if we're truly 50-50, then by modern standards, should I not take it? Do I let the trash overflow until he comes home? Or you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or do you
Or do
just
I make
take it
that one of
out
those
because
kids'
it needed
chores?
to be
No,
taken
you're gonna
out?
take it out. But here, let me do this. Since we're older, a lot of and not to knock anyone of the influencers on social media, but there are a lot of them are young. Okay. Let's look at the situation.
Mid-30s.
where we are today.
Mid-30s.
Like I don't have, and even with you, Apple, like our kids are kind of in the same age bracket, and even with your situation, at some point, not far from now, you're going to be an empty nester, even though you still have your baby who's going to be with you. It's going to be in a different. It's going to look different. Do you understand what I'm saying? So let me say this for us older generational Gen X or whatever the case be, where our kids are either
older next. But go ahead.
Because anything that keeps me away from millennials. All I'm saying is
I wouldn't say that. I'm technically a millennial.
She's technically a millennial.
You're not, no, ma'am. You're not in your 30s.
I was born in 81.
You're not in your 30s. My sister was born in 81 as well.
But we are millennials. We are the beginning of it.
No.
Yes,
stop.
We are.
I'm not saying that you're not. No.
I'm not saying what age bracket she's talking about.
I'm not saying that you're not. When I say millennials, I'm talking about the ones in their 30s. The ones who are still popping out babies. Those. I'm not talking about the ones in their 40s. My sister's your age. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the ones in their 30s who are still, having kids, and they're going to be going to PTA meetings and all the Christmas programs. We are past that. Do you understand what I'm saying? So our situation does not even look like that. It can't even begin to look like that. So, well, no, I'm so sorry.
I have some friends who are just now having babies in 40s.
Get her.
I'm like, I'm sorry.
Listen,
just having babies in their 40s, girl. That's a whole nother podcast.
That's a whole nother. It is. Ain't it though?
First of all,
but no.
I was gonna say something about these dating apps, and we're gonna do that another day. But here's the thing: I gotta date a man with kids. Let me tell you something. You cannot come in here talking about some. I'm ready to start.
We gotta pencil that one.
Bro, I'm so done. Like I'm done. Like we're not. Listen, ain't no babies in my 40s. We
gotta pencil that one. Requirements and non-requirements.
Listen,
like
I've already come down in some of my weight, and don't let me lose this tummy, honey. We are done. Like I'm not finna mess this up. I'm not starting over.
Well, yeah, no, that's a whole other conversation. But what I was saying was for us where our kids are grown, like 50-50 looks different. I believe in gender roles. Okay. I'm going to be the one to clean up the house, and I'm not going to expect my man to clean the house because that is just what I do. I don't expect for him to cook. Now, if he wants to cook and he knows how to cook, handle that. But again, I believe in making my man's plate and serving him his food. 100%. I don't care. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Hold on. Now, first or after the kids?
My man?
Oh, that's another.
I'm so tired of this question. Well, no. I'm just messing with you, but you go ahead and ask. The answer, I'm going to serve my man first. Them kids is going to be fine.
100%.
The kids is going to be fine.
100%.
I'm going to serve my man.
You need to be good,
healthy,
and strong.
And then I'm married. Even when I was married, I think the only time I served the kids first was when they were very little. And even he was like, get them out the way, because we had twins first. So he was like, get them out the way so they not crying and fussing, and then we could sit down and be at peace. That was literally the only time. But I 100% agree with you. I had to ask the question though, because that's what they do nowadays is, who you serving first?
Yeah.
Your man or your kids. Who is he serving? His mama or his wife? Like, come on, man. Like, if you understand how relationships function, then you should already know. Does his mama not have
a husband?
What if she don't?
Okay, well then I come first, and then you can go and get Medea. But it's me.
Because your mate needs to be if you go by the order of the good book.
There you go. I was going to say it, but go ahead. Go ahead.
If your mate
right. Right. And
quite honestly, your mate, your children, then your mama and daddy.
Right, Apple, right.
Where my toe Sam's at? So I can
see, as they say, it's levels to this.
It is. It is. And I have no problem with that. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that whole 50-50, I mean, again, who's balancing this? You know what I'm saying? Right. Just get the shit done. Like, I'm going to be doing the majority of what's in the house any damn way. And that might be less than what the hell you do at work. But I'm not going to sit up here and be like, okay, babe, you owe me 24.5% of your... What?
Hey, but that is a thing. Let me tell you, one of the things that irks me is that do not tit for tat me.
Oh,
If you
I
tit, I'm
just
gonna tap,
asked the
and I'm
guy
tap
that.
my ass right out the door. Like we're not doing that. We're
Yeah.
not doing it. I'm not doing it. When I tell you that is the thing that irks my absolute soul. Or I did this for you yesterday. So what?
Mm,
Right.
So
mm,
what?
mm.
Who
Right.
cares?
I had to ask
Because
the guy, "Are you a you
if
do
we're
me,
in
I
a
do you?"
healthy, if we're in a healthy, balanced, reciprocal relationship, what does it
Mm-hmm.
matter?
It doesn't
Right.
matter. And
What
that's
does
what
it
I'm
Right.
matter?
saying. That's why 50-50 irks my soul, because I'm like, who
100%.
cares? Just get it done. You know, but
100%.
then there's that. So like I said, with that just kind of, but now one conversation I've had even recently again, when they talk about women and our femininity or our masculine energy and all of this other stuff and so on and so forth and how we act. Here's my thing about that. Okay. Like I told a friend of mine recently, okay, a male friend of mine recently, I told him, I said, it's not hard to listen to a man. It's not hard to let the man lead and follow the man. What is hard is finding a man that knows how to lead and
Come
has
on
Mm-hmm.
the
now.
tools to lead.
Come
Just
on now.
because,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe, Apple, we had this conversation before.
We
Now,
did.
are you a man biologically in the house? Absolutely. Just as much as I'm a woman biologically in the house. But if you leading me, you understand, playing in traffic, and we all up in the middle of a train wreck, like that's not okay. That is not okay.
So this is going to get into something else, but Adrienne and I had this conversation too, and I'm just going to speak from my perspective and not hers. We were talking about BDSM. We were talking about submissives and doms, right? So
let's do it. Let's do it.
we were
You
talking
might need
about
to say that one
submissive.
for another night.
We
That can
we
get
are
long.
we're not going to get in fully into it, but we're going to tap into it. So here's the thing: you have different personality types, right? So I want to take the
Mm-hmm.
sexual aspect out of it, right? So let's
Mm-hmm.
not do that. Like let's not even go into the kink and the whatever else. But you
Right.
have personality types, and there are a lot of men who run around saying I'm dominant and I'm masculine and I need a woman to woo 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 woo. As a very feminine, naturally submissive woman,
Mm-hmm.
me,
Mm-hmm.
you, whoever, have to be very careful of who you allow to tap into that side. You don't get that side of me just because you're built differently in your bottom area, in your lower area than I
Mm-hmm.
am.
Mm-hmm.
You don't
Mm-hmm.
get that from me just because you wear pants and technically I wear a skirt, right? That's
Right.
not how this works. You have to earn that. And
Mm-hmm.
most times, and I had this conversation with someone, men who are truly dominant, men who are truly masculine, men who carry that energy, they don't even got to say nothing.
Show
Like
don't.
they just come in and your whole thing is like, damn, I would do whatever he tell me right now. Like
Yeah.
you come
Your
over here
whole demeanor
and be
changes.
like, bark like a dog immediately
Right.
because
Right.
your
Hop on
energy.
one leg with it.
Listen, because your energy carries something. The other day, yesterday, but for the sake of whenever this gets released, the other day, so these little bad teenagers, right, pulled a fire alarm, and so it goes off in the entire building, right? And neighbors is coming and everybody's like, oh my God, what's going on? We like people are like hypochondriacs. I smell smoke in the air. Ain't no smoke in the air.
Ain't no
You can
smoke.
hear the alarm
Bad ass
and it's a
kid.
Sunday and you ain't used to it going off. But I get it, no problem. So smell smoke in the air and everybody come outside the building. So we all outside and within minutes, right? Firemen pull up. And I made a post about this, about just how top. First of all, I didn't know I had a thing. I got a thing. Like if I ever did a
For
role
men in
play,
uniform.
no, Future Bay, I'm gonna need you to put that fireman uniform on. I got a thing for firemen from because I've thought about all the times I've interacted with firemen and I was like, oh my God. So
Mm-hmm.
they pull up all nationalities. It was like a white man, maybe like he looked like he could have been either Hispanic or mixed, and then I think the other one was fully black. Like, so let's just say you had a white man, a black man, and then you had somebody who's like ambiguous, right?
Mm-hmm.
They hop out the car or the fire truck, all three of them, the energy, the masculine, like the energy was so strong. I was standing to the side just watching, and they walked
She
up, and
probably
I
ain't
know they
even no
heard me.
fire out there.
I was like, girl, I had a fire. I was like,
Right.
like
Right.
straight Loretta Devine in Waiting to Exhale, holding
Yes.
like, girl, is you breathing? Breathe, breathe.
Right.
Good, because the energy was so masculine and just, you know what I mean? Like you had no, like I had no choice. Like naturally, I just was like, it's over there.
Right. Right.
Like, it's over
She
there.
just
Like,
melted. She just
ma'am, are you okay? I'm not. But would y'all like a
not.
cookie? Some cake?
Right. Some
You
lemonade.
hungry? Like, what
Entenmann's.
is it that you need? But men who carry that, they don't have to say anything.
They
It's
don't.
in their presence. And all the times so going back to the fireman thing, all the times I've interacted with them, that's the energy they carry. Other, right?
It's
First
true.
responders, maybe not. It just depends. But
It's
them,
true.
I don't know if it's because they run into them fires and they gotta go in, like they just carry a different kind of energy. And that's the one thing that I can use, I guess, to give an example of what it's like masculine, truly dominant men are not beating on their chest. I'm a man. You need to listen to me. I'm a woo, woo, woo. Oh, woo, woo, women, woo, woo. They don't do that.
Right.
That's not even how they move. A lot of times they're very quiet. They're very unassuming. They just moving about their day. They just handling their business. They're very unbothered. They're not concerned about what nobody else got going on. Because to Adrienne's point about the confidence with sexy after kids, they know who they are. It's here. It's here. And because it's here, it comes out. And so I think there's something to that. But when you have to be very careful as a woman, how you allow how you allow the access to it, right? In what ways you allow someone to access. Do y'all agree or not? I mean, I've been
I agree. Is the problem with that though? No, I agree with you, but like now the way that people think or men think from what I've seen, and I'm not saying all, I don't want to make a blanket statement, but it's like you can't just turn femininity on and off like a light switch.
You cannot.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm kind of like, but again, to your point, Apple, it's like, yeah, but there's got to be a line there because most people wouldn't know because I have a to some people I'm quiet, to some I have a loud outgoing personality and whatever the case may be, but to those 1.5% who know better, they know that I'm a submissive individual. They know that I'm not going to go on 10 unnecessarily. Now, I also kind of have issues because sometimes guys will also automatically, it's like they'll play in your face and you're supposed to still be in your feminine energy, submissive in the whole nine. No, you played in my face. Now you about to get it. But that does not make me any less feminine because I'm not allowing you to play in my face. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like there's got to be some kind of line where men stop using, oh, well, you're too masculine, you're in your masculine energy. Like they throw that word out too much. And for some, yeah, maybe they are, but sometimes it's like, you really got to kind of see, well, what is bringing that out? Do you understand what I'm saying? We all have a mixture of whatever in our hormones and so on and so forth. But again, those who know, like Apple said, men who are literally in that masculine or whatever that everyone talks about, they don't have to say nothing about it. They're not gonna walk around talking about I'm looking for a feminine woman. They're not gonna walk around talking about I don't need no alpha woman. All they have to do is enter a room, and that woman is gonna know right off the bat. That's a grown ass man. I ain't got to say shit. I don't have to act a certain way because I feel protected. I feel that sense of security. And that man ain't even opened up his wallet yet. Huh? Do you understand what I'm saying? So
Right.
Not even his wallet. He ain't even opened up his mouth.
he ain't even opened up his mouth. Right.
He
My man
said
just
one
standing right
word.
there.
Yes.
Exactly. So those guys, in my opinion, who are walking around talking like, yeah, these women this, these women that. Okay, well, so what do you want us to do? Just sit there and shut up no matter what? You guys act how you want to act, and we're just supposed to be like, okay, well, I got to be in my feminine energy, otherwise, Bay gonna leave me. That's not really how that works.
So I've heard this statement that says submission is actually the strength. Like a lot of those men that you're talking about, they want a weak woman, which is different from a submissive.
Yeah. Facts.
Because it takes a lot of strength to give yourself to someone and be like, I trust you enough to not, you know what I'm saying, mishandle me, right? I trust you enough to not mishandle me. I trust what you're saying. I trust who you are. I trust the person that you're showing me. It takes a lot of strength to do that. And especially when you're coming from a situation where you've been single for a while, you've been maintaining your household. So you understand that I can function on my own. I want you, right? And maybe on some level from an emotional just connection, men and women, we need each other, right? So yeah, I need you on that level. But to function as an adult, as a person, I'm not going to fall apart if you leave. I'm going to get on my hustle and I'm going to take care of me and mine because I have no choice. You know what I mean?
We're
That's just
adult. It's an adult thing.
we're
That's
adult.
an
It's
adult
an
thing.
adult thing,
Yeah.
right? It's not a man or a woman thing. It's an adult
Exactly. It's
thing,
an adult thing.
right?
I think
Like
it's beyond
I don't.
that though. I think it's
Okay.
beyond an adult thing, and I want to tell you why. Because we talk about being dominant versus being submissive and how women are not tapping into their feminine energy. Yes, they are. Yeah, majority of us, yes, we are.
Mhm.
It's not that we're not tapping into our feminine energy, or we are, people
Masculine.
say we're masculine or dominant.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
We're really not. We're in survival mode.
Girl.
That's another
It's
Pretty much.
not we're
episode.
dominant or we're submit. We're in survival mode, because think
Right.
about it. Your barriers and your walls are up because more than likely you've been hurt once, right? And
Mhm.
so you are now trying to get in a space to where you are trying to trust someone else with you again,
Mhm.
with
Mm-hmm.
your heart, with your mind, with your body. You're in survival mode. Apple, you just said it. If something go on with your kids, what's the things you gonna do? You gonna figure it out. You gonna get to it. You automatically jump into survival mode. It's
Mhm.
not that you're no longer feminine and that you want to be the dominant one. No, you
Mhm.
jumped into survival mode, which makes on the outside you look harder than you really are.
Right.
You're not
100%.
hard. We have no choice but to look and feel hard on the exterior because
Mhm.
we are
Mhm.
in survival mode. We are not like our grandmother or great grandmothers were back then. They constantly walked and looked feminine and soft because guess what? Granddaddy took care of all the bills. They felt
Mhm.
like everything was good. Even with it being some heartaches and pain, they may have known he had another lady on the other side of the tracks. But guess what? He
Mm-hmm.
took care of home. He made sure everything was in order, decent and in order. All she needed to do
It's
was cook,
true.
clean, have babies.
It's
Right?
true.
That is not
She
the case for me. I'm not going to just quickly and have babies while
I
you go
know,
about
but you know what I'm saying?
everything.
Back then, right? He was he was able to
Hold
just
on.
tap into
Another one of
her
those
feminine energy.
dear future husbands. Let's be clear.
That's not what's about to happen here, right? So it's not that we're hardcore or we're dominant or we haven't tapped into our femininity. We have. We're
Yeah.
just a majority of us are in survival mode.
So let me ask you this then. Do you think, and this will kind of be where we start to wrap it up, but do you think that it is a white woman, so let me say this. Okay, so we often hear passport bros and people who subscribe to that thing, right? Women of other cultures are more submissive than Black women and they are softer. So, to your point about survival mode, do you think it is a cultural thing? Because I saw a TikTok the other day, and I think it was a Black woman, and she was like, "Oh, no, 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 no! I'm sorry. It was a guy. It was a guy, and he's gay, and he's a dating coach. But I love his content, and I would love to have him come speak. So let me just put that in the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Speak it.
what he was saying to women, because he technically not just Black women, but he speaks to women of color, and he was saying that you need to start dating with the audacity of a white woman. Essentially, they are raised to expect certain things to take place in their
Mm.
relationships. There is an expectation out the gate that you are not coming here with whatever shenanigans, right? I expect you to be financially ready. And I'm not going to say all, right? Because then you have the way you were raised and where you were raised, and all of that plays a part. One size doesn't fit all for everybody. But generally speaking, they are raised with a certain amount of audacity and an expectation that a man who enters their life is going to do certain things. When it comes to us as Black women being in survival mode, do you feel like does culture play a part in that? Is that how we're
Hell
built?
yeah.
Okay, let's
Hell
talk
yeah,
about
it's
it.
cultural. Because
Okay.
here's the thing, and let me be clear. I'm not gonna. This is excluding the men or people who are like, well, it's the white man that kept us down. This is not that
Mm.
conversation.
Okay.
This is not that conversation. But to that point, to a degree, coming from someone who is educated, went to college, and didn't say the white man wouldn't let me go to college. Hell yeah, it's cultural. Because you got to think about it. Okay. White women can expect that, because here's the thing. You look at a lot of the businesses out here. Look at the things that you have in your house, in your cabinet, from tomato sauce to whatever the hell it is, right? Who the fuck owns these companies? White people, huh? Right? Now, you try to do that same thing with a Black man. How did he get his foundation? You got to understand something. Black people, slavery wasn't that long ago.
Mhm.
Contrary to the fact of them trying to erase it, it wasn't that long ago. So what foundation did a lot of our Black men, what did they have? What did they
Mhm.
have? So a lot of the generations that we are in right now, we're just getting started. These men don't have that rich Uncle Phil. This started the foundation for them. This started the corporation for them with their last name on it. You know what I'm saying? Like the hotels or whatever the case may be, where they could just ride off the coattail of that. They didn't have somebody say, okay, well, this is how you do business and so on and so forth, because it wasn't too long ago that Black people were not allowed to even work. Do you understand what I'm saying? And if they were doing little jobs. I'm only 46 years old. In the 80s, my dad had a job. He worked for the Academy Awards Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences. Do you know his boss called him boy? This is a grown ass man in the 80s.
Mhm.
Do you understand what I'm saying? He wasn't able to have those high up jobs. Did he see
Mhm.
and do all the stuff and that they did at the academy? Absolutely. I was even there as a child. Absolutely. But you got to understand, a lot of people didn't come from that foundation. So yeah, Sarah could walk up to Ken and say, "Yes, well, I expect that you're going to have a certain amount of money in the bank." Even what is it, the Persians and stuff like that? They do that
Exactly.
same
The thing
thing.
is, they don't
You
even have
have to
they
have.
don't say it. It's in their,
It's
so let's go
expected.
back to that
Mm-hmm.
internal.
But what?
It's in their exterior and how
But why? Huh?
Well,
Why is
I
that expected? Because a lot of times, 9 out of 10 times, it was already there in some sort of way. Now, you
April, what
have
were you
some.
gonna say?
yeah, so I was told, so I was in a group and we were kind of talking about this, right? Black women and white women and dating and things like that, right? Or we'll just say other cultures outside of
Black women.
black, non-black. We were always told that, the black women, they go to school to get an education, right? They're trying to get an education because they're trying to achieve and get to the next level. They're majority of the time supposed to be focused, not really thinking about a man, get through school, get through this degree. Non-black are told you go to college and you find your husband there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about it, a lot of times, a lot of my peers and people I encounter with of non-black, right? How long you and your husband been together? Oh, we met in college. We were college sweethearts, and so they had their kids out of college, and
Mm-hmm.
she may be a stay-at-home mom now. She has a degree, but guess what? They met in college, right?
So it's almost like their position, and again, and here's, so let me say this also. Sexy After Kids is not just about Black mothers, Black women, right? So
Mhm.
I want to put that out there because I think it's important as we get into these conversations to specify we're having this because we just happen to be three Black women talking right now. So we're speaking from our own experience. However, there are other women with lived experiences that could very well contribute and provide insight to this conversation. But
Right.
hearing what you're saying, I'm wondering if it almost sounds like the positioning is you go to college, you go to college to put yourself in the line, in the eyesight of a man of a certain caliber. We have no intention of you actually following through with anything that you're doing. You could
Mhm.
go and study
Mhm.
music, you can go and study like whatever, right? There's no real intention of you having a career unless you want one. The intention is you're going to the Yales, the Harvards, the Princetons,
And
the
look at
Dukes, whatever it
our
is.
men going to college versus
You're
their men
you're
going to college.
going here because we know that the men who are going here are going to be able to provide something for you, and the
Mm-hmm.
likelihood of you meeting that man in this atmosphere and him also coming from a family of whatever, right? Because how else do you afford to go here? I don't know that they're just handing out affirmative action and scholarships and whatever, whatever
Right.
else, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the goal is you go here to find your man. The degree is like, girl,
Icing
you
on the
like,
cake. Like I got it.
it is what it is. More than likely, your family has something that you're finna roll into anyway. If you are somebody that decides where, I'm just assuming, right? I don't have that lived experience, so I don't know, right? But
Mm-hmm.
that's what it sounds like based on what you were saying.
Mhm.
No, yes,
Yes. Yeah.
okay. And I,
From the
I
conversations I've
would love
had,
to have.
right, in some
I mean,
groups.
listen, if they were open, I would love to have someone with that experience to come here and tell
Yeah.
us how it is. Because sometimes the funny thing is, sometimes you'll talk to those women and they'll be like, "Oh, everybody thought we were like the perfect family, and we were, crap, and it was drama up there, and I can't stand my so and so and my so and so." And so, again, this is not about going in on one culture, is just unpacking the differences when it comes to dating and
Mhm.
motherhood and life and lived experiences and what it is. And so, because you can only speak to your experience, that's what we're speaking from right now. You just happen to have three people talking who have lived very
Right.
similar experiences. So, that being said, though, I want to thank you ladies for joining. I think we had a great conversation. I would love to have you guys back. There's a lot of things we didn't get to, so I think that this is an open and a continuous conversation. I don't think it ends with just this episode in particular. Um, but I'm glad we had it because it opens the door to just so many different things. And hopefully it gets people talking and thinking, and moms kind of moving in a different direction and how they're positioning themselves in the dating world, in motherhood, as they're moving towards an empty nest, as they're moving towards new motherhood, and just kind of some of those things and those challenges that they've gone through. And most importantly, understanding that you got to do the inner work. Like, no matter what phase you're in your motherhood, you have to do
Mhm.
the inner work. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot be out here depleting yourself and then think that you're going to have what you need to not just take care of your kids, because you may be functioning, right? You're doing the functional work, but if you're not doing that internal work, then you might be doing harm that you don't even know that you're doing, right? Unintentionally. So I think that is something that we need to just continue to work on and address with each other and create safe space and find girlfriends and find resources and people that you can talk to as you work through those challenges. So I'm going to ask you both a question and then we're going to go ahead and end it. I'm going to say, Lynette, what is next for you? Where do you see yourself in this next phase of your motherhood? We touched on it a little bit before, but like what's next?
What's next, girl? You coming
day by day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I honestly I don't know. I have a couple things in the air, like I said, I started law school a while ago. But it's so expensive.
Come on now. Come on, law school.
It's expensive.
Come on, law school.
I've been playing the law school game for a very long time, to the point where I've turned being paralegal into a solo business, and I literally am self-employed.
Okay.
And the attorneys are my clients.
Okay.
So, but
That's
that's big though. But that's big though. Like that's a whole nother episode. That is a huge step, and we're gonna talk about that.
Yeah,
we're gonna tap into how broke is not sexy. Yeah. We're gonna do that.
I really don't know. Like, honestly, to be honest, if I was gonna wrap that answer up in for what I really, really want, like career aside, the whole 9 aside, because honestly, I've done the whole education thing, I've done the whole have kids, raise them thing. At this point in my life, I would probably like to get in a relationship and get married again.
Okay.
Now had this been about 10 years, maybe even 5-7 years ago, I'd have been like, absolutely not. But there's no reason, there's no excuse for me not to. Again, but where's that man who knows how to lead? It's literally that simple. I believe in gender roles. I believe in, things like that. It's just been, like I said, the selection has just been what it's been. So that's probably where my life is now. I'm not being the pick me girl and like, oh my God, let me go find the first guy that gives me attention. But, it's definitely on the table for sure.
We chill until God says otherwise.
Can he speak up? Can I get a tracking number?
Bro,
not a tracking number.
I'm gonna need that good UPS tracking code, that good shop.com email.
Still got that pre-shipment label right there.
Wait.
I need to check Afterpay and make sure I made all my payments.
Amazon, he's 10 stops away.
10 stops away.
That's what I need to know.
Did you deliver it to the hub locker or at my front door?
Or at my front door. Right.
That's what's up. Adrienne, what about you? What's next?
So for me, I think I am the only one of us that I have never been married. And
that's okay. It's hard.
Yeah. No. Because I don't know what that experience feels like, right? But I'm also a one and doneer. It's to death do us part. So somebody gonna die. I'm done, right? I only want to do it that one time. And then I'm also probably, I believe of us three, the only one that have grands, right?
Definitely.
With my oldest being 28. So for me, the next step is like making sure that my generation, after my generation is taken care of. Making sure everything is aligned and in order. In the event that because I do want to get married, but everything is going to be signed, sealed, and delivered before you even come in the picture, because you can't take away what I already built. Okay, anyway, another topic. But so with that,
conversation will take place.
Yes, spending more time with my grands, because they love their Gigi. So seeing them more often. And then, I'm like I said, I'm outside. I am outside.
Amen.
But I have my eyes on someone, and I'm liking where it's going. So
I need the tea. We'll have that offline.
Yeah,
I want to find somebody to build with. That's where I'm at. I want to find somebody to build with, honestly.
A peaceful partner is what I'm looking for.
Yeah,
Peaceful
exactly.
partner.
I got it. He got it. We got it. One piece of advice that I give guys is find a woman who can take care of herself and take care of her.
Mm,
That part.
I like
Alleviate
that.
all the mess.
I
Find a woman
like
that can
that.
take
That
care of
part.
herself and take care of her. Because now at this point, where's the stress? She knows what to do. You guys are now growing together.
I like that.
Woo, that's another episode. We definitely gonna tap
Mm,
into that too. Find a woman who can take
mm.
care of herself and take care of her. Listen,
That's
that's
a
a
whole
bar.
word.
That's a bar, and we go mic drop on that one. I want to thank you, ladies, for coming on tonight. I want to thank you for your transparency, your openness, your honesty, your whole nine. I love you both. Like I said in the beginning, when I want to get something done and I got some shenanigans and I got an idea, y'all the two that I call, and so I will be calling
Like,
you back.
girl, what? No.
Ray's
Reunited.
like,
Like,
what
wait,
now?
this
What's
this
this
was a
now?
good little reunion. This was a
Listen,
Girl.
good
it
reunion
sure
for
is.
us.
Let me tell you something. You need your girls, right? You need them and bring you back. I mean, even when it be off the deep end, like, okay, I can hear Adrienne sometimes like, okay, Apple Sticks, come on now. Bring it
How
back,
we
Apple
gonna do
Sticks.
this?
Like,
Let me
what you doing?
YouTube. Hold on. Let
What
me
you
go YouTube.
doing? You getting sidetracked. Come on back, reel it back in. But I thank you guys. I love you guys. I appreciate you. And I want to raise a glass as we finish. Y'all been drinking? We got glasses of that. Raise them.
I've been drinking. Let
I've
me
been
drink. Let me drink.
drinking. Cheers to us and cheers to
Woo!
more life and cheers to us finding everything we desire. That is it. And we will see y'all on the next episode.
Cheers.